Welcome to the Haunted Hangover podcast. I'm Louie, and I'm joined by Manny.
That's this guy.
This guy
Two thumbs.
with his orange mic cover there.
Yep.
Halloween was last month.
Fancy schmancy.
Fancy schmancy. Gonna have to match you and get one for this mic.
I got a green one.
Oh, that sounds lovely as well.
It might not fit that though. That's like kind of squared off. I got round covers.
Yeah, this is a long boy. Needs to be a little.
I got green. I got blue. I got purple.
Yes, I have to get something more interesting for this mic so it looks more exciting on screen. But yes, Thanksgiving is upon us.
Turkey Day.
Turkey Day.
Happy Turkey Day.
Turkey Day, stuffing, yams. For some of us that don't eat turkey.
I don't eat the turkey either.
Tofurkey.
Turkey.
Bacon, ham. Are you a ham guy, Manny? Is that what it is?
No, not really. No, I actually like the sides the best.
I'm right there with
the
you.
Potatoes, the corn, the green bean casserole. I want the stuffing. You know, the others, those things like turkey and ham and stuff, I can have that whenever. These sides, they take effort.
I
to
agree.
Put them together, so it's not something you make often.
Yeah, I agree. I'm more of a sides guy myself. I do enjoy a tofurkey for obvious reasons. So
I don't think I've ever had tofu.
I don't. You might like it. There's a couple of decent roasts
I didn't
out
say
there.
I wouldn't like it. Just I don't think I've ever had it. I would totally try it. I just don't think I've ever had it.
There's a couple of good ones out there. Field roast makes a nice one. I think they call it the holiday roast, and then
Is
tofurkey.
it like actually in the shape of a turkey, or do they just sell like slices?
Funny enough, that's a new thing going on now. They have them in the shape of turkeys.
Like a vegan shaped turkey.
Turkey. It's wild.
Is it
like
hollow? You put
$100.
stuffing in it and stuff?
Literally. There's a guy I follow on Instagram who he's like a vegan. I think it's like vegan hack pod or something like that he's called. And he put up a video recently of him stuffing a vegan turkey. There's no bones or anything. So it's like a solid mass. It's about $100. And you can stuff this thing with stuffing. And you slice it, you carve it. It has legs, it has wings, but it's all kind of like it almost looks like a loaf of bread in the shape of a turkey.
I see it. It looks like a chicken cordon bleu.
Sort of.
Like
are you looking at the whole turkey?
I'm looking at a loaf. Oh, no. There's the turkey. I see it.
There is
oh my God. That looks like
weird.
an abomination.
I have yet to have, it is weird. I have yet to have the whole vegan turkey. But I am curious. Morbid curiosity. Like, I guess if you're a family of vegans, like a family of 5 or 6, and everyone's a vegan, it would make sense if you want that aesthetic of having the bird on the table. I guess it's there, but it's weird because it's really just a giant mass of soy and other shit.
Vegan whole turkey with gravy and stuff.
There you go. Think I know what Manny's buying this year.
I would totally try this. 100%.
I am curious. I don't know if this is the year, but I'm gonna let them. It's new. This is a new discovery. I just found out about the whole vegan turkey.
There it is.
So
that I see it. It is shaped like a turkey and all. Like it's got their stuffing in the photo, and wow,
you learn something new every day.
The whole vegan turkey, imitation turkey with vegan gravy and vegan stuffing. A delicious centerpiece to any festive meal. This 4-pound meatless turkey is firm, moist, and slices beautifully.
Doesn't that sound delicious?
It actually does sound like I would totally. My niece became a vegetarian when she was like 12. So we go over and the rest of the family is not vegetarian. So when we go over the house, I actually kind of feel bad sometimes that like we're all in. She's usually just got like pasta, you know, like sometimes there's something special for her, but not. So I always try to see if we can find something like really interesting that she would like. But the rest of the family is not vegetarian. So whenever we're over at the house or whatever, like me and Lynn kind of feel bad. Like we look at her like she's eating pasta while everybody else has all this meat and all this other stuff on top of it. So sometimes her meals are a little minuscule. They're smaller than, but again, being a vegetarian yourself, you're kind of like, okay, you don't have the like gorging meals to begin with.
No.
Like vegetables are never going to be like, oh my God, I ate so much broccoli, I'm going to burst.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You never really feel that way.
That's so much sweet potatoes. It's over for me.
Well, I don't know. Sweet potatoes
Yeah,
might do that too.
potatoes are pretty
Sweet
filling,
potatoes
actually,
do
right.
that, you know? But yeah, essentially that. So we always try to bring something to like Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner that she would find kind of interesting or different. Something that because we'll totally eat vegetarian and vegan meals.
Yeah.
You know? So
Well,
I'm like,
now you found your new
yes,
thing.
I would absolutely buy this and bring this. I would totally get this. 100%.
It's new. It's a new thing. The whole vegan
I found
turkey.
it on fakemeats.com. It's
Wow.
$90
Yeah.
refrigerated shipping.
It's popular. I mean, the roasts are good as well, but if you want like an entire turkey, like there you go. It's an option
Yeah.
now. It's fairly new. It's wild what they're doing now
Yeah.
with the vegan meats and
Dude,
steaks and things. It's kind of crazy.
It's way easier to be a vegetarian now than it was like 15 years ago. It is way easier.
I know it is, but it's still taboo at times, especially during the holidays, Thanksgiving.
However people feel about it is
Yeah.
their fucking problem.
Exactly.
I'm talking about the options. It's
Yeah,
easier with
definitely.
there's so many more options. There's entire vegan restaurant chains.
Yeah,
You know?
listen,
So-
I'm not mad at it. I'm very happy.
Dude,
And
I like it.
As
You
a vegetarian for like 15 years now, it makes me excited that I can go anywhere for the most part and find food. So
Yeah. And you know what? And I'm always open to trying new food.
yeah,
You know? So that makes me happy. Like, here's something different. Well, oh, it's vegan. Who cares? It's different. It's
Yeah.
different flavor. It's a different something. I'm always open to new food. So, you know?
gotta sway people at times. But I have a question for you, Manny. Do you enjoy eating your Thanksgiving dinner with aliens, little gray guys with almond-shaped eyes? Do you like them joining in?
I mean, sure, why not? The
Just a
more the
couple of-
merrier. I like to share our cultural traditions with the other.
With
You
the
know?
other?
Yes, we like to share internationally, interspatially, you know, intergalactically.
They'll come in. What do you think an alien would bring to the Thanksgiving dinner table?
Oh,
That's a
I'm
bizarre-
going to assume a cow product.
They're gonna gut a cow and just bring you the innards.
I mean, that's what they do, right?
You're right. That is what they do.
I'm going to assume it's a cow product. They've seen us eat them, so they're probably just going to bring like, here's a cow's ass.
An entire.
It's the
head.
only part we didn't use.
The only part we didn't laser off. Here's the
Yeah.
ass and the head of the cow.
Very pliable. We probed it a few times, so it's nice and tender.
Yeah,
And they'll just present it raw.
all that after our vegan vegetarian conversation. We're talking about a decapitated cow and aliens bringing it
We
to
like
the
to run the
Thanksgiving
spectrum.
table. There you go.
Full
You're
spectrum.
right. Bring it back. Bring it back to animal mutilation.
That's right.
But yes, the reason why I mentioned aliens and them coming to the Thanksgiving table is because today we're doing another Battle Royale episode. Last year we did this during the holidays by pitting all three Black Christmas films against one another. So if you haven't listened to that episode, definitely go back, check that out. That was a fun one.
And as an update of that, we were talking last year where they were discussing another Black Christmas, and it has not happened yet. So
we're going to have an addendum to that,
Yes,
to that
yes.
episode. We're going to come back.
we may have to have a Battle Royale in the future, but as of right now, we do not have a fourth Black Christmas, so we got to do something else.
Yes, we have to move on. So we're taking it to space with the little guys. And this should be a fun one because instead of doing 3 films, we're kind of just doing 2. It's 2 films technically, and we'll get into that a little later. 4 technically.
There's 4.
There's 4, but we're kind of isolating them to 2 pieces of art sort of that have offshoots, etc. And that is the McPherson Tape and Alien Abduction Incident. Is it on Lake County or of Lake County? I believe it's
on Lake.
on
Incident-
Lake
in
County.
Lake County.
In Lake County. Sorry, guys. It's a very
Lake
wordy
County.
title. So, yes, Alien Abduction Incident in Lake County. There it is. Manny's showing his Blu-ray. Mine is in the rack. Since this is not technically a Haunted Hall episode, I did not break out the Blu-ray.
Well, I had to. You know me. I like props. I like having props.
Manny wants to show it off.
Yes. I have props. So here's
the Blu-ray. Oh, yeah. UFO Abduction.
That is what it was originally
called.
We'll get into that, I'm sure. Originally, it was just called UFO Abduction.
We'll be diving into all that. So, when did you first watch these, Manny? We'll start with the McPherson tape.
Well, I watched the McPherson tape for the first time when I bought this.
So recently, in the last couple of years.
Yeah. This was 2001, I think. I had it actually. I actually had that. It's 2001. 2020. I meant 2020 or 21.
Yeah, 20. It's about a almost 5-year-old Blu-ray.
Yes, in 2020 it came out. They were even going to do a series of screenings, but I don't know if that actually happened. But yeah, that was the first time I ever saw this.
So for some context, because I know the listeners might not know what the hell we're talking about, because I would say these are more on the deep cut end of some of the movies we've talked about here on the show. So the McPherson tape has a weird sort of release history because when we get into that specific film, we'll dabble more in some of the details, but it wasn't really available. It was mostly bootlegged for a very long time. In 1998, another film with the same filmmaker, same director, we're going to talk about him as well. He got a chance to remake his same film for a wider audience on TV as kind of a mockumentary, pseudo-mockumentary, documentary, found footage film. Sort of what happened. Sort of. For UPN. So it was like a made-for-TV movie, basically, when all these kind of, like, what do you call the, like, Bat Boy and National Enquirer? No, not National Enquirer.
Weekly World News.
Weekly World News. So like stuff like that. There were a lot of these documentaries in the mid to late 90s, even in the 80s, where they would just make these kind of faux kind of cryptozoology documentaries about vampires, Bigfoot, aliens, alien abduction, things like that. So it's got a weird history because I think most people that remember these movies around our age are more familiar with the 98 release, the remake Incident in Lake County. That's the one I think most people know and remember. When compared to the McPherson tape or Alien Abduction, because that's where it gets confusing. So I'm just going to call the original 89 film the McPherson tape because that's how it's currently being sold. And even when you look it up on Tubi, that's what it's titled, the McPherson tape. So I like my history, like you, I saw the 98 version, Incident in Lake County, way before I saw the McPherson tape because I too did not watch it until I bought the AGFA Blu-ray. Is it Bleeding Skull as well? It is Bleeding Skull as well. Blu-ray that was released a few years ago. So that was my introduction to the original film. I'll be honest, I did not even know it was a remake until I started looking up. When I watched the McPherson tape from 89, started doing some research, going on Wikipedia and IMDb, and realizing, oh shit, no wonder this feels so familiar. This is a remake. So it's interesting because I wonder if it seems like back in the 80s, and we can just segue into, and you watched it the same way, right? I kind of cut you off there, but you watched the 98 version first.
Yes.
That was your introduction to it. Yeah. So we both have the same experience watching these movies, and we both watched it when the Blu-ray came out, the original McPherson tape. I know it sounds a little rambly here, kind of back and forth with two versions, but they literally, it's funny because when we get into details, there's so much alike about the two things that they can easily be confused for the same exact project when technically they're two separate films. Now, one more thing I want to touch on before we get into the first movie that's involved in the Battle Royale. Both of these films are technically films, mockumentaries, projects, whatever you want to call them, sort of they're like pre-Blair Witch when everyone thought before the internet was what it is today, people watched this and for many years thought both of these were real alien abduction, like evidence of alien abduction, like basically. And what's interesting about the McPherson tape, the original 89 film, is it was bootlegged so much, and that was really how you could watch it, that led to sort of the lore behind the tape and why people thought it was real. So like copies of it had the intro and end credits removed. So imagine you just pop in this tape and it's legitimately it starts with the camera being turned on from the character and then ends when the static ends at the very end of the film. So that caused a lot of people to think that these were real encounters that people were having. This was a real missing family. And it's just kind of crazy because, when you talk to most people, they think the Blair Witch Project was sort of the first one to do it. And in reality, War of the Worlds, the radio broadcast from what year was that, Manny? I don't even, off the top of my head. 50s? It was the 50s. 50s at one point. That was really the first kind of fictional project, faux radio broadcast that tricked people. But I just think Blair Witch made it more mainstream in 98. No, 99 was when Blair Witch came out. So it's kind of crazy how this came out in 98. Well, 89, and then the remake was 98, came out prior to Blair Witch, but Blair Witch kind of...
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, Alien, the first one, the original 1989 McPherson tape, that's the first found footage film.
Yeah.
That's it. That is the first one. I know a lot of people like to say it's Cannibal Holocaust. Cannibal Holocaust is not a found footage film.
It's like 15 minutes of found footage.
Yeah. It is a narrative film where the characters are watching the found footage. A found footage film is where you, the audience, are watching the found footage as the movie.
Yeah, I would agree. This is probably, and again, these are two guys that have watched this relatively late. We didn't watch this in 1995. We watched the remake in the 90s, but the original 1989 film, we saw it many years later. Yeah. And I would agree. It has to be one of the first concepts of a found footage film.
Everything I've ever seen, everything I've known, that is the first found footage film.
I can't think of another movie.
No, the only thing that was close to it at the time was Man Bites Dog and Henry.
And that's still not found footage because that's narrative.
No. Yeah.
The characters are acting. They're not acting like it's real. They're acting like characters.
Year was Man Bites Dog, 89 also?
89, yeah. So it was around the same time. But I think Man Bites Dog had a bigger budget than this.
92, so
not even. So this predates that as well.
And that's a mockumentary.
And
that's
honestly, the sad thing is when you hear about found footage and people talking about found footage films, the McPherson tapes or Incident in Lake County are never really brought up. They're kind of both forgotten films. And if you look up the history, that's basically what happened to both of them. I think I think the second one's in the public domain. The remake's in the public domain. It's not? I'm pretty sure it is. I thought I read online that it was. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think so. Not to my knowledge. No, I mean, I could be wrong.
I don't think the original 89 film is, but I think the second one might be public domain. But maybe someone can correct me out there.
I mean, when we get to the production aspects, I'll tell you. I'll get to why I don't think it's public domain.
So that leads us to the first installment. Finally, UFO abduction, aka the McPherson tape.
There was someone outside. There's a spaceship or something outside.
Oh, the spaceship. Oh, come on. Mom. This is one of those jokes.
Shut up. He's not kidding. There's a spaceship out there or something. We saw some Martian or shit or something.
Come on.
There was 3 little guys that came out.
Released in 1989, and this was directed, produced, written, and even stars Dean, and I believe this is how you pronounce his last name, Alioto. Dean Alioto. And this is basically his passion project. This is his baby. He's, again, look at all those credits he has, and he's even in it. He is the guy behind the camera. He's the voice you hear in the entire film. He is the main protagonist of this original 1989 UFO abduction McPherson tape. And I was reading up a little bit on the production of this film, and his inspiration was to make the War of the Worlds on VHS.
Yes.
That's what he wanted to do. And the budget of this dude was under $7,000. $6,500 is what I saw looking around.
Yeah, something like that.
So
Really, really cheap.
less than $7,000 to even make this thing. And you can tell when you watch it. You would think he cast his family, but I don't think that was the case, because when you go on IMDb, everyone has different last names.
Yeah. No, it's just a bunch of friends and actors that he knew. They were actually actors that he knew. Only one or two of them have done anything past that, but they were all actors. There was one of them, the one guy, what was it? Tommy, one of the main guys.
The brother,
yes,
yeah.
He was an improv actor, which is why he gave him the main role, because this was all improvised.
Yeah,
it was all improvised dialogue and everything.
You can tell.
Yes. But Tommy,
you can tell.
The guy playing Tommy was the guy playing Tommy. Tommy is his real name.
Tommy, sorry. Tommy's in the second one.
Tommy is his
That's
real
why.
name.
Yeah.
Yes. The guy playing Eric Van Hees.
So that's basically it. A lot of unknown. I'll be honest, in my notes, I didn't even write down the actors for the first one, because there's really, a lot of these people didn't really go on to do much of anything else outside of Dean Aletoto.
Yeah.
It's not
that guy.
Yeah.
That guy playing the actor Tommy Giovacchini has actually he had a career.
He had a career, but a lot of the other actors don't even they didn't really do much of anything. This was their claim to fame. And Dean, I'm just going to say Dean, the director, he has gone on to direct other stuff, obviously directed the remake of his own movie.
Yeah.
So he's continuing to work. And I do think it's interesting that you can just tell he really wanted to make this film. He wanted to be in it. He created this whole, basically this alien abduction, UFO abduction universe with both of these movies. And it's basically the movies people know him for. Everyone knows him for these two films.
Yeah.
So if you're not familiar with these movies at all, basically what the synopsis is, very simple. This is not a usual Haunted Hangover breakdown because there really is not a lot. There's more to talk about these films than there is that actually happens inside of them. And I say that for both. And that's not technically a bad thing. I don't know if you'd agree, Manny.
No, it's true.
It's very simple.
It's a very simple story.
Very simple. So the McPherson tapes, or tape, it's not plural, it's McPherson Tape. Funny enough, not the name of the family.
Nope.
So again, that has to do with the bootlegs going around of this film and people just titling it the McPherson Tape, because UFO Abduction is the actual title. When Dean made the film, it was called UFO Abduction. When it was re-released by AGFA, is it AGFA or AFAG? AGFA.
American Genre Film
Yes.
Archive.
When they re-released it, they titled it the McPherson Tape because that's how most people knew it. That's the most recognized. And UFO Abduction is a pretty generic title, if we're being honest. But yeah, that's not the name of the family in this, because they're called like Manny mentioned, the Van Hasse, is it?
Van Hess. I say Van Hess.
Van Hass. Yeah, it's a very kind of like a European, right, last name there. But it follows Michael Van Hess with his new camera. You got to have the new camera gimmick in every found footage film. That's kind of the trope in these movies. You always got to have the main protagonist has a camera that they're testing out and are annoying everyone with. And you've got his family, which is made up of his mother, his two older brothers, because Michael is around high school age. I think 16 is the age, or 16, 17, around high school age. But his two brothers, Eric and Jason, one of them is I believe it's Eric, is a grown man who has a family. He's married, has kids. And then Jason's sort of the college age brother. So a little older, but still kind of immature and stuff. Honestly, all three brothers are immature, and I have a list of some of the nonsense they talk about in this movie. And they're joined by Eric's wife, Jamie, Jason's girlfriend, Renee. And then the whole point that the whole reason this family's getting together is for Eric's daughter. It's her name's Michelle. It's her 5th birthday. It's a lot of character names, so I'm just trying to get them each, give them their own little moment here. That's the whole plot, is that they're all together, this family, for a birthday. So it's a family get-together for this little girl's birthday. And what ensues is the family are going about their business, celebrating. Power goes out. The 3 sons head out, and they stumble across an alien ship, complete with about 3 aliens. Is what
2 or 3.
You see, and
in the beginning, I think it's 3. There's 2 first,
yeah,
and then a 3rd one enters.
So and they're little gray aliens. They look like children in Halloween costumes. That's basically, and that's what they were. Funny enough, a little behind the scenes, because there's a lot of images online of the kids without their mask on. It's like a little girl, a little boy, or something like that.
It's 3 girls.
Is it 3 girls?
3 girls.
That's amazing. So obviously they're in shock. They're fearful. And the 3 boys head back to the house. And now they must protect the family and try to get help and inform someone, because remember, no cell phones, there's no power, there's no phones in the house, nothing. They're basically stranded there, and they want to get everyone to safety. And unfortunately, the aliens show up and want to abduct them and take them back to outer space. That's basically what ends up happening. And that's really it. I'll be very honest with the original 89 McPherson tape. There's not a lot going on. No. It's a lot of darkness. A lot of just the screen is in complete darkness. A lot of rambling. So, and I joked about the conversations. So the one thing that kind of drives me crazy about this movie, and the reason why you mentioned improv, a lot of characters talking over each other.
Let's go now. We're all going together. Come on. Yes.
Wait a minute, you dumb
What are you doing? Come back here.
Don't go off and leave us. Stay here.
We're all going.
We can all go.
Can you guard someone? I'm gonna be here. Can you guard someone? I'm gonna be here.
Everybody shut up.
You fucking.
You can tell there wasn't a script.
Which is what makes it seem real.
Realistic, yes. Like literally
just family members yelling at each other.
There's like scenes where they're sitting at the table around the cake opening presents, and they're just having these like this. The brothers are talking about school.
Yeah, there's no focused conversation.
It's all just random rambling. And I actually have a little list of some of the shit they talk about because I picked up on it. So puberty jokes about Michael being a teenager. I think there's even like a masturbation joke in there. A porn joke because of the camera. Jokes about unprotected sex and having kids. Farting jokes. Mom being an alcoholic sprinkled in there. And watching Johnny Carson, which I thought was hilarious. Mike's grades in school. And then mom has a conversation about how women have to wait for men constantly. This is all it's just happening at once.
Just talking. Yeah. Just talking.
And I'll be honest, the alien attack is about, keep in mind, the McPherson tape, the 89 McPherson tape, is about an hour long.
Yeah. I think 63 or something.
And the
it's
aliens,
done in one take. Well.
No, there's a couple of cuts in there. There's one cut?
One cut.
You sure there's no static that cuts here and there?
Well, that's when he edits.
Okay. Yeah.
They reshot one scene because it wasn't dark enough. It was too dark.
Okay.
But the whole rest of it was done in one take. So there was no cut planned.
They had no choice but to cut.
They had no choice.
Yeah.
They went back. No, he didn't cut. They shot it. They did the whole thing. He went and looked at it. And when he watched the footage, the scenes were too dark. So they went back like a week later and reshot it with a different lens. Reshot a scene with a different lens. There's a moment when they're re-entering the house and he accidentally banged the camera on the door, on the screen door.
Yeah.
And he said, that's a perfect spot for a cut right there. And that's where the cut is.
Because the jerk of the camera, he can probably insert it and nobody would notice.
And it inserts and it goes to, and now he has a longer lens. You know, he's got a more telephoto lens that's letting more light in. Mm-hmm. So he's shooting the next scene with that. And he's like, he even says, you'll notice that suddenly he's across the room from everybody instead of right next to everyone because he's got to stand back. But that's because it was just too dark. So he had to add more light. He did it with a better lens. But there's one, like maybe 5 minutes of it. And then it goes back to the original.
And I could see people watching this movie and hating it because a lot of it's just complete darkness or the floor or rambling from random characters you don't have much of an attachment to. But I will say the visuals, and it's a lot of heavy breathing, a lot of
it's funny.
Literally, that's like a lot of that too in the movie. But I will say the visual. What were we gonna say?
I was gonna say that's what he heard when he tried to sell it.
Oh, really? Yeah. See. So, which is true. It's just a lot of heavy breathing, profanity.
He talked about Vestron Video. He brought it to Vestron, and the head of Vestron at the time basically said to him, "Get this shit away from me. I don't know what this is, but get this crap away from me. Come back when you make a real movie." Like she said, this is absolute garbage. We'd never release anything like this, you know? But then it started doing festivals, started getting bigger, and it got the attention of some other people. We'll get to that though.
Yeah. And it's a product of the time, and it's a product of like a SOV shot on video era of filmmaking in '89, which was very popular. People were shooting movies on VHS and just.
But they were narratives.
They were.
This you say it's a product of the time, but it's actually it's a product that's ahead of its time.
No, it was ahead of its time.
It's way ahead of its time.
When I mean a product of the time, I mean more so in the way it was produced. It was produced with no money, shot on video.
Yeah, and it's the limitations of actual. They literally said, "What the fuck is digital video?" to him. What is digital? What do you mean? A movie on digital? What are you kidding? It wasn't even digital; it was analog. But now that's what they said about the second one when they did a movie on digital because he couldn't get that released either once it was done.
He had problems with that too.
Well, yes and no. We'll get to it.
one of the things I will credit this film, and I think is a positive because I feel like you would think I don't like it because I'm saying it's dark and there's just a lot of rambling, is the stuff with the alien, like the aliens involving the ship, the red light, the look of the aliens, and when you finally do see them. Is creepy. It is eerie. And you never get a clear shot of them, of the aliens, until the very end of the movie. For the most part, they're in the distance. One gets shot and you barely can see it. Like he's looking through people. There's an arm in the way. Like you see it, but you don't see it, if you know what I mean. Like they purposely were avoiding any kind of clear shot of it because of the limitation of the budget. But when they do pop up on screen, it's effective. I think. The ending, and when we compare endings of both of them, it's effective. It works. It does leave you kind of with some goosebumps. Obviously, if you've seen this movie before, that won't happen. But I think if it's a first time watch for you and you're like, whoa, how it ends, you're like, okay, this creeped me out. It'll make you like look behind the door at night. You know what I mean? Like it has that sort of vibe. And then if you don't know anything about it, like if you don't know it's 3 little girls in alien costumes, I could see someone being like, ooh, that's eerie. Because it does feel authentic. It does feel homemade. It does feel like just a birthday party being recorded. And that's kind of the best part of it, if we're being honest, because a good chunk of it is just them yelling, screaming, and then alien shows up here and there, you know? And that's another thing that kind of bugs me about the movie, and I will be honest, there are a couple of moments, and it happens in both versions, even in the remake, where the family is dealing with the alien shit, and then they just decide, you know what? We're going to sit at the table and just hang out again. It happens in both versions. And that to me is probably the thing that hinders, I know we're focusing on the McPherson tape, the 89 McPherson tape, but this one, I think that's what hinders it the most, because there's like a moment literally in between shooting the aliens, seeing the aliens on the roof where they decide to just sit and play. At that point, two of the brothers are missing. They decide to sit and play Go Fish.
Yep.
And this goes on for at least 10, 15 minutes where they're literally just playing Go Fish. And it is a little awkward. It is a little kind of, you can tell this is an amateur filmmaker, because in reality, none of us would react that way.
Well, the thing is that, they touch on it in the Incident in Lake County broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about that. It's a thing in alien lore where the aliens are able to make you forget about them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what what the purpose of that is that the aliens are influencing them and making them not think that this is as big of a threat as it is. It's actually kind of brainwashing them into just, everything's normal. There's the little girl in the remake that's constantly like, we should go downstairs. There's even one scene where she says, okay, everybody stop, let's go downstairs. And then everybody just, okay, and they listen.
Yeah.
And that's kind of that alien lore. Like maybe the aliens were almost sending like commands through her and making them listen.
But to focus on the original McPherson tape,
but in the original, I
get it, but it doesn't really translate that way.
But that is what he's kind of doing. And to my understanding, he actually had done another TV series that he was working on. And at the time, these things were big. All this alien stuff was getting really big. The X-Files was just starting.
It's I mean, I get that. I get that aspect of it. I get wanting to have the aliens control the people.
But no, you're right. I agree.
It does not translate.
If you don't
way.
know that fact, it doesn't.
No, it comes
translate.
off as just what that they're forgetting. Yeah. In the remake, it works better. And that when we get to comparing the two films, we'll dabble with that. One more thing that I wrote in my notes, just watching the original film, I do love, there's one sequence where Michelle, the little girl, the birthday girl, draws a picture of the alien, and that snaps them back into like defense mode.
Yeah.
And I love that scene. That to me is the strongest scene in the whole film.
Yeah. And that's the only
where did you see this?
Mm-hmm. That's the only real indication that it's like their brains are being wiped from what's actually happening.
The watch is not working, I guess, is like, they're controlling the technology.
Who even has a wind-up watch anymore?
That's literally the conversation they have. So the watches aren't working, electricity isn't working. And I guess that kind of, like you said, they're controlling them. But it doesn't really translate that well. But the scene where Eric or Mikey, Mike is, they call him Mikey.
He's Mike, yeah.
Yeah, in the film, when they see the picture of the alien, because she said she saw one in the window and she decided to draw one really quick, that to me is probably the best acting in the whole.
Yeah.
Because there's one line, dude, and every time I watch this movie where I'm like, that's pretty rough, where he's like, I'm protecting my family and you're a part of my family. It's like, it's a pretty rough line.
Yeah.
It's a pretty rough line. But again, that's probably the only bad line in the whole thing, outside of all the like jumble of them just talking over each other.
Yeah. And to kind of add, like, to kind of also play the argument there is, like you say, it doesn't really read well that it's, it doesn't come off that way. But clearly it did. Because for the next 10 years, alien abduction enthusiasts thought this was real. Yeah. So the people who know about this stuff, who are really into this, they took it, they got it. It was accurate and you know what I mean? It followed the actual lore of alien abduction close enough that all the symptoms were there and all the things that they would expect to happen during an abduction are in the film, so it's there enough to make him say, well, wait a minute. No, look, there's a memory wipe there. The aliens it was enough to make them even. It even got to a point where abduction people were saying that Dean Alioto was a paid government shill.
Yeah, I did see that.
To say that he directed the film when it's actually real.
Yeah, that's like an urban. There's also an
and it's
urban
like,
myth. I'm
in the movie.
Yeah, there's also an urban myth, and I don't know if it's the '89 McPherson tape or Alien Incident in Lake County, the remake, where people think there's a 6-hour version that exists.
That's the original.
Yeah, that there's a longer version, but the government's hiding it. And
how could there be a 6-hour version? There was no 6-hour tape.
I could tell you right now.
How could you record an abduction on a handheld camera for 6 hours? No, it's not possible.
I mean, who wants to watch 6 hours of this too? If we're being honest,
I'm sure that an alien person would be like, one of those people like, yes, I'm going to watch every second of this. I'm going to watch it in slow motion and check every frame for stuff. But how could there be a 6-hour version? I understand that when you had the EP version of recording, but no, that's not something people do. 2 hours tops. 2 hours for your tape. You couldn't have had a 6-hour version.
So before we jump into Incident in Lake County, the remake of the McPherson tape, let's talk a little bit about the ending so that we can compare both film endings and see which one we prefer. So the way the McPherson tape ends, basically the family, the ones that are still standing because Eric and Jason are missing, remember. You've got Mike, you've got Mom, you've got Jamie, you've got Michelle, and Renee, the girlfriend. She kind of doesn't do much in this movie. Renee, the Renee in the remake's a little better. They're all kind of hanging out, playing cards. At this point, Mike sets the camera. His mom finally, get the camera away from me. He sets the camera up in the other room, or like in the living room.
Leaves it sitting there, yeah.
Leaves it sitting there, and the aliens enter the room, and the family doesn't notice. They're just playing their card game. And alien notices the camera, looks at it, cut to static. Yep. That is how the McPherson tape ends. They think they're going to just wait till the next day, the morning, the sun rises, and that Jason and Eric got help and they'll be okay. Little do they know that 5 feet away are 3 little aliens about to take them up to Mars. And the alien, that's a scary shot, dude. It is a creepy shot of the alien slowly turning, looking at the camera, and then the camera just cuts. Yeah. That's effective. That goes back to what I said before, that the aliens, the little you do see them, they can give you the willies. It's effective, and I do give them credit for that.
What he purportedly captured on his video camera was more than just a family get-together. The following footage, if real, could be the most important evidence ever, supporting the possibility that we are not alone in the universe. This footage contains explicit and frightening images. Now, for the first time ever, watch the complete and unedited tape and decide for yourself. Alien Abduction.
Now to jump into Alien Abduction Incident in Lake County. Now, this aired on UPN. Remember UPN, guys? No longer around. Channel 9 here in New York for us. I don't know what channel it was in other states, unfortunately, but UPN was Channel 9 for us. And this aired January 18th, 1998. Also directed by Dean Alioto.
Oh, I was so excited when this was. Oh man, it was going to air after airing right after the X-Files. Different channel, but that's how they were promoting it. It was going to air right after the X-Files at 10:00. Now, the X-Files were on at 9. So
now, we talked about how we had first seen this version first, and I remember them airing. Yeah, I remember them airing commercials for this thing constantly.
Yep.
And promoting it as legitimate footage of an alien abduction. Little did I know that many years later, it was fake. Nothing about this was real. It has end credits and cast names, but people still thought this was the real deal.
So, okay. So what? You know what? Let's do this chronologically.
Yes.
Okay, like you said, they spent months promoting this and putting it was going to be right after the X-Files, 10 o'clock on UPN 9.
Yeah.
X-Files was on at 9. This was going to air at 10 o'clock, right after the X-Files. Move on over here. So what this was, what Alien Abduction Incident in Lake County was a 1 hour docudrama type thing where it was a special that was like a Unsolved Mysteries. It was a 1 hour special showing this tape, parts of this tape that had been recovered. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it had been damaged. This is the story that the footage had been damaged, and they were going to air it, and they had a lot of experts who were going to debate whether the film was real or not. Now, this came about because when the original McPherson tape was out there, it did some festival. Again, he was trying to get it sold and everything. He was approached the guy who was a producer or something, had made a deal or was making a deal to get him on either Unsolved Mysteries. Oh shit. What's the one that he actually did?
The other one's
Encounters.
The other alien show.
Yes, the TV show Encounters, and something else. I forget what it was. Dean
Sightings.
said, I don't.
Wasn't Sightings?
I think Sightings was later.
That was one of the shows, though. That was one of those alien shows.
Yes, I think Sightings was later than that, though. But either way, he basically didn't want to do Unsolved Mysteries. He turned down Unsolved Mysteries because it's not an unsolved mystery. And they were like, yeah, not really. He's like, but it's called Unsolved Mysteries. And they basically said to him, yeah, that's a bullshit title.
Yeah.
He's like, but it is solved. He's like, it's,
we see what happens.
Yes. So they did a special on Encounters. It was a half-hour special where they covered this and discussed the original film. Mm-hmm. They discussed the original one. And they had a couple people talk about whether it was real, including him. Where we spoke to the director, and that is where the lore kind of came from, because they had one UFO expert. I don't know if you've seen the Encounters.
I did see it, yeah.
Okay. They have one UFO encounter expert saying that we think that Dean Aliotto he's a cover. He's the cover for the real. So that kind of fed into the whole thing. But there was actually a moment for him to say, no, this is a movie. I made it. And we were all, they're all actors and blah, blah, blah.
I mean, he's in it as a filmmaker. Yeah. You said,
yes.
He's like a pretentious filmmaker. He's like, I wish I would have directed. He even has the line.
No,
that's the second version.
That's the second.
That's the second version. We haven't gotten there yet.
Second. Yeah. No, in Encounters, he is himself.
He's himself
talking about the movie he made.
But he does put himself in the other version, which is hysterical.
Yes, as almost a joke to the Encounters.
Yeah, it's a great joke.
So he was then approached by I forget who the specific producer was. Paul Chitlick. Okay, he was a TV producer. He approached him to redo that. Make it for TV. They're going to do a series of TV shows like this. Like you said, there was a whole bunch of stuff, and this was going to be like the first one. And UPN was going to do a bunch of series of just mockumentary type things. So he approached him to do this. This got a $1.2 million budget.
That's insane.
Yes, he did. There's a $1.2 million budget for this. They cast the whole thing. They did. And this was supposed to be aired as a TV movie. Okay? That is not what we saw.
No.
Now, I would say I know we're going to get into the plot, but really the plot for this is the same as the first one. There's
a couple of things sprinkled in.
But it's the same plot.
Yeah,
it's the same exact plot.
It's a family being.
It's a Thanksgiving dinner instead of a birthday party.
I mean, I have a plot here I could break down. So
go
when we
for
get
it.
to it.
Go for it.
So like Manny said, much of the same.
Again, that's what you know. What that's why I'm going this route first.
Yes, there's a full length version and a shorter version, which is where we're kind of throwing ourselves off.
Yeah, and your plot, I think, is about the full length version.
Is the full length version.
Yeah,
and we'll get into the other version as well.
Yeah. So what happened was then they did that. And they were going to air it as a TV movie, And coincidentally, at that time, the board of UPN changed. They fired all the people there and some new people took over. And they saw this and said, what are you kidding me? We can't air this.
Yeah.
The same thing that happened to the first movie.
So the McPherson tape, the same shit.
Yep.
It's pretty funny.
They spent the money. They put this, we can't do this. So they took it and they re-edited it and turned it into the incident at Lake County. And because they were just going to, like, all right, well, we got to do something with it. So they threw it out as that special. And it was so highly viewed that they ended up doing a second version of the Incident Lake County special with additional found footage. A second one. And that did amazingly. And from that, it's almost like out of spite. They told them to go to hell. Get the hell out of here. We're never airing this again. So the movie itself never aired as a TV movie. It was just two different versions, two different length versions of the same special with newly found footage that is added. And yes, then you get to the full film, which this is why I say I don't believe it's in public domain, because this was basically produced by Paramount.
There was like
Universal.
some distribution company uploaded the whole 90, it's like 83 minutes long version of it. It gets a little convoluted and just because again, like there's so many versions of this one film, like the fake documentary bonus footage, and then the entire movie, the entire, hour and a half movie.
And I'll tell you there's something else, because we had to watch this on YouTube. I remember very clearly watching. And I recorded it on TV. And I remember when it aired the second time because I had to watch it a second time. Okay? Because of all bonus footage and all that, But in the YouTube version, I found something that was in my videotape that was different from the TV airing. And I don't know if you remember this. I don't know, because again, I was 18, 19 when this, so I was older than you. So I don't know if you clearly remember, but there is a scene in the movie when they're all hearing a sound.
Yeah, I remember that.
You hear it when it aired on TV.
Oh, I don't see. There
is a high pitched sound that runs through it. That you heard when it aired on TV, but you recorded, and the videotape just doesn't have the whatever to record that. You know what I mean? And the YouTube version also, the sound is missing. There's a couple of sounds that happened throughout that were in the original version when it aired and are not in any other copies anywhere, because
they probably aired it. Maybe they felt like need just to tell the audience that something bad was happening. They inserted a sound or something. That must have been what happened.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. In the original broadcast, it's there. But if you recorded it from TV, your VCR did not pick up that frequency of sound.
It's really aliens.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's just too high a pitch for for
I
it to
get
be
what
recorded.
you're saying.
So all the copies that people are watching of it right now, it's not there. They're just covering their ears and you're wondering. I very clearly remember that, because when I watched it back, I said, wait, what happened to that sound? And then when it aired again, I said, well, I got to record it. And a second time, it did not record the sound.
Weird.
Because, I mean, it's just an audio. It's just an audio thing. That's all there is to it, But yes, that was very clearly there. 100%.
I don't remember. I was around 12 when this came out, so I don't fully.
I remember because I remember being upset about it, because I remember thinking something was wrong with my tape. I'm like, this is clearly. So that's why I remember there is a high pitched sound, and that's what pops the glasses and the wind and all that stuff, and they all scream from it.
Yeah,
there is that sound. There's another sound somewhere else that's also missing.
See, I didn't notice that. But let's jump into what happens and some other stuff that happens in the story. Now, I'm going to be talking about the feature length version since we're looking at these as films, as two films. Yeah, we've got the two faux documentaries explaining what the movie was and that whole backstory that Manny just went into. But as a movie, much like its predecessor, same thing. Just this time, They're in a place called Lake County. The family is actually the McPherson family. So Dean Attilioto, butchering him. I don't even know why I'm bothering saying his last name. But yeah, he actually named them the McPherson family because it was so prominent with his original 1989 film that he might as well call them the McPhersons. And this time it's on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and one more addendum I want to add to it. The reason why people thought what this was real was because of the way they added it, because of the way they aired it in that documentary style. As I was trying to find the name because they're not listed like on IMDb or anything.
Yeah,
but like Michael Shermer, he's a well-known skeptic. He's the owner of Skeptic magazine. Mm-hmm. He's in this. There's another guy who actually is a scientist, but he's known in like the coast to coast type, realm, the coast to coast conspiracy theory. I know his name and I just can't think of him, but Stanton Friedman.
Okay.
That's his name. Stanton Friedman. He's the big guy, the guy with the big beard.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. He's very famous in the he does UFO conferences and everything, and he's in it.
He's been in other documentaries about UFOs, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, because I recognized him when we were watching it.
And there's a couple other people as well, but they actually had a couple of real experts that people know as
it's like a combination of like a musician.
Yes.
They got like the filmmaker, like we said. Like there's different. Yeah, they had like real people that are skeptics, like you said, or people that really study these things. But having
Stanton Friedman and Michael Shermer discuss this
made
as
it
though
legit.
it was a real thing. Yeah, made it, even though they know full well this was just
fake.
a movie.
Yeah.
So they were playing characters of themselves, but that is what really blurred the line and made people say, no, this has to be real. Why people argued it. Because you have real respected. I mean, Michael Shermer is fairly respected because, again, he owns Skeptic magazine, so his whole deal is debunking things.
Yeah.
Which
there's a bunch of that.
Yes,
to make it seem authentic, they had to have a skeptic and have like an expert in UFO and abductions. And I think,
anyway, continue. Sorry.
Before one more thing before we continue, finally with
there's so much. Like we said, there's more to talk about it.
And that was the whole point when I said there's more to talk about the making of these films and why people believe them than the actual films themselves. But I think when comparing Incident in Lake County and the McPherson tape, I think the McPherson tape, it was 89, early 90s. I just think what happened was, since it was bootleg, like I said before, since people didn't have the knowledge that they had many years later, I think that's why people thought it was real. It was just being sold as a real thing. And how could you tell the difference? In 98, I think it was just more so, and the less people know, the better.
Information was limited. Like, it played at a couple of, like, there were times where he spoke to, and he said, no, I made the movie, and they called him a liar.
Yeah.
He ended up speaking at a UFO conference. They ended up inviting him down, and he said that was the best experience he ever had, because he stood there and showed them the movie. So explained that it's a movie, but actually discussed real UFO. And he said, and everybody was accepting, and they were all cool with it. They enjoyed the fact that it existed. And he's like, nobody argued with him there, even though he'd had years of people fighting, saying that he's, not, he said he'd had death threats at some point where people were like, you're covering this up for the government.
What an interesting career Dean Attilioto must have, because both of his movies, he remade his own movie and had the same struggles with the remake. It's just, what an interesting career path to make two alien abduction films and people think they're real or shit on them. It's like, that's all he got, was people thought they were real, legit alien abduction tapes or were complete garbage.
He even said when they redid this, the original, he said the producer of the original Encounters show, they were pitching this thing to I think after they shot it and they did the whole, when it got to the point where we have to air this and it's like, we're never going to. I think he said it was the producer of the original Encounters show. He said, this is the type of TV special that ruins people's careers.
That's exactly what it is.
He said, and then a year later, that same producer did the alien abduction, the alien autopsy tape.
Which is another fantastic one.
Yeah, totally fake, But that producer who called this career ending went and did that. And he's
When I
like,
was
and
12, I thought that was real too. The
that
alien,
was a
the
year,
alien autopsy
that was a year
tape.
after
That was
Incident in
great.
Lake County.
That was a
That
great.
was a year
That's
after
another.
that.
I can see
I
us
loved
diving
that too.
in the future.
Man.
We can do
when
that.
When they
one.
aired that, I had to record
Yeah.
that too. I put it on the same tape. I had it. I put it right at the end of the tape. I was like, "Oh yeah, I have this all on the same tape."
They go hand in hand. Both of
do.
these projects, all three of these projects. But yes, finally, to dive into Incident in Lake County. So again, McPherson. They're actually
Starring
the McPherson.
Emmanuel Chicory.
Yes, they're actually the McPherson family.
Yes.
Thanksgiving. It all
Which is his
comes
nod
together.
to it.
It all comes together. It's Thanksgiving night, which is why we decided to pick these movies now, because it's perfect for the Thanksgiving time. But this time, the family is larger in the remake.
There's a few more
more heads.
characters.
So this time, it's made up of Tommy, who's our protagonist behind the camera, another
an
teenage boy.
actor.
Yes. Mom. Now, when you look up this IMDb,
They all have careers.
They're all like, but there's one name that stuck out to me because I saw her in something else that I revisited recently that I thought was pretty funny because I forgot she was in this. But it's made up of, again, Tommy, younger teenage brother. Mom is there again. The two older brothers, this time Kurt and Brian, literally the same roles but different names this time around. Same, you had like an adult older brother and then a college age older brother. Kurt's wife, Linda. Kurt's daughter, Rosie. Not her birthday this time. It's just Thanksgiving. You've got Brian's girlfriend, Renee. Renee makes a comeback. Different actress portraying her, which, funny enough, that is portrayed by, and I always butcher her name too.
Just said it.
Emmanuel
Chicory.
Chicory. I could never pronounce her name.
Emmanuel Chicory.
Wrong turn. I just watched that a couple days ago. And
starring
she's in
Emmanuel Chicory and Aaron Pearl, because I recognize
Yeah.
Aaron Pearl from other movies too.
And
That's the
actor
oldest brother, Kurt.
Yeah,
I recognize him.
He's been in a bunch of stuff too.
He's been in
I
a
think
lot
he
of
was in
TV.
like Spy Hard or one of those Leslie Nielsen movies where he or wrongfully accused. He's in one of those stupid parody movies because
he might be.
I remember his face being like one of the like heavies, one of the villains in that. But yeah, Kurt's wife Linda, Kurt's daughter Rosie, Brian's girlfriend Renee, and
He was
there's
in
this.
R.L. Stein's Haunting Hour.
There you go.
Two different episodes.
We've covered that on the show before. They have a sister this time around. There was no sister in the McPherson tape. So you've got the sister Melanie, and her boyfriend Matthew. And that's what you call him, Matthew. He does not like to be called Matt in the film.
Nope, Matthew.
Call me Matthew.
He's got an attitude.
He's got an attitude. And there's some little weird, and I'll get into that, some little weird
there's-
things sprinkled
there
into
is.
the plot with that. But so again, Thanksgiving, they're getting together and similar beats as the original. Power goes out. The boys go outside. They stumble across the alien ship. This time the alien ship looks much bigger and fancier. We see the life forms, but this time lasering a cow.
Yep.
So they were able to afford
And
to.
that's what they're bringing to Thanksgiving dinner. I told you
that's-
they were getting the roast.
They were
But
getting that.
the aliens this time around were done by the effects team of the X-Files.
which you can tell they look better.
Much better.
You
Much
still
better.
don't get a great view of them.
No.
They're always in darkness and sort of blocked by something, but you can tell they look a little fuzzier and like they look better. But the family is once again attacked. They want help. They want to get to their cars. The engine is melted. They can't use the phones. But this is where you could tell Dean had a bigger budget. And he kind of tested out some bizarre choices in the plot. And this is when it feels like a movie. And when you watch the fake, like the faux mockumentaries that Manny was talking about, those two, the one with the bonus footage and the original one.
They're the same thing. They're both the same. They just did an addendum. They said,
Yeah.
recently we found more footage, and they added like an extra
Yeah.
3 minutes. Yeah.
But when you watch the full movie, it's all there. And this is
it's all
where you see all the plot points and some of the stuff he added in.
It's even a different ending.
Yeah, there is a difference. There's two endings. So in this, there's more, like when you watch the full length feature of Incident in Lake County, there's a very kind of Texas Chainsaw style crawl at the beginning telling you this is real footage of this family. They're missing. Very effective. There's a lot of the same kind of humor between the brothers. There's even like a peeping Tom moment where Tommy goes to check on Brian, but Brian's making out with Renee and she's topless, but they blur it out. So right there, little more risque. So like there's more.
Yeah,
it's more Hollywood.
I read that she was originally supposed to be topless in it,
and she
changed her mind because she was worried what her father would think if she did it. So
she must have been like 17 or 18 when this came out.
She was young, but no, she could have been 17.
Young. She was an adult, but like 18 or 19 around that. She was very young when this came out. So I don't blame her. Very early in her career in being in this film. And then to go back to what I talked about a couple seconds ago. So Mel's
she's older than me.
So she's been around a long time.
She's 48 now.
So
which
she was
means
what?
She was 22 at the time.
So still very young.
Nonetheless,
very young.
no, she was that's younger than I was with you, 18, 19. She was 22.
Well, there we go. But yeah, so Mel, the sister character, has a new boyfriend. The family's meeting him for the first time. This is also a big departure from the original McPherson tape. He's black.
Bringing in an outsider. Oh.
He's an African-American gentleman. He's black. And there's a lot of
Kurt's not happy.
Kurt, like legitimately, there's a conversation between the three brothers where Kurt says she could have told us or warned us he was black.
No, he's not. Is that thing still on?
Yeah?
Well, turn it off.
The light will go off, man. No one's gonna see it.
I think she just should have told us the guy's black. That's all I'm saying.
What difference does it make?
It doesn't.
But the Kurt character, the older brother character in this, comes off a bit more of he comes off more as an asshole in this, and kind of a piece of shit.
Take charge of everything, and everybody's gonna listen to me.
And
he's the pushy older brother.
He almost looks, dude. There's moments in this where it almost looks like he's about to kill somebody. Like he looks like a serial killer. Yeah. And then the whole thing with him not approving of her having a black boyfriend.
Hey, he's just a good actor. That's really what it is.
I mean, he's
a really
great.
Good actor.
He is great. But the older brother's not as likable.
Yeah.
In the remake, he's not as likable. He's more of an asshole. That's one of the things that stood out to me. That's very different from the original. They obviously had more effects. So there's a scene where this red light enters the room and hits Renee, which makes her, she's passed out half of this film and has seizures. She dies eventually from this. Whatever that light was hits her. So that,
And if you notice in the film itself, the movie itself versus the UPN TV version, they changed the laser, made it a laser light. They altered all the visual effects. There's a white light floating around the room, and which is not in the first one. No. The laser, because when they see the alien cutting the cow open, like you said,
it's like reddish, right?
It kind of it turns the beam at them, and it burns. What's his name? The middle brother's
carried
hand.
On from both films. Both brothers both middle brothers get injured.
Yeah, it burns the middle brother's hand. And in the original, not the original, but the full version of it, it's just kind of like a light that goes there. In the UPN version, it's a very clear laser beam.
They inserted something extra to make it look better.
And there's a scene also where Kurt traps one of the aliens in the bedroom. And in the UPN version, they add a laser beam coming through the door so that explains how the alien got out. That doesn't happen in the regular version. They end up opening the door. That's not how it gets out in the regular version.
Yeah, it's kind of
because the UPN version only showed snippets of it and created a new narrative around those clips, saying these are the only clips that exist.
Like I'm going by is the feature length version of this
and I'm just
movie.
trying to compare them.
Yeah.
from what was aired versus what is again. It's so much more interesting talking about everything around the film than the film itself.
Yeah.
You know?
To go back to Kurt, there's even a scene with Matthew, Mel, the sister's boyfriend, and Kurt, where Matthew looks at Kurt and he's like, I know what you want to call me. I know, like, oh, wait a second there, buddy. Like, it's getting, he wants to call him a really derogatory, nasty word. And, like, that's added in. So they really put a lot of emphasis on Kurt not liking his sister's boyfriend. I also think they do a better job of, in the feature-length version, of explaining why the mom's an alcoholic, because she's once again drinking a lot. And they put more emphasis on the father recently dying.
Yeah.
So their dad recently passed away, so she's stressed out and all this. It's way more intense in that sense. You know, considering Renee dies, you see Renee die in this. She has foams of the mouth, dies. They say she's dead. Kurt and Brian, they leave to get help, never come back, insinuating they were caught. So a lot of that stuff, it's a lot of the same beats when comparing the original McPherson tape to Incident in Lake County, the feature-length version. So there's a lot of similarities, but with kind of extra sprinkled in, and he had to do that to extend an hour-long film to 90 minutes or whatever, an hour and 20.
Yeah, I think his original was, he said it was coming in at like 45 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And he had to add all this other stuff to just make it a full movie. And he still came in. He didn't know how to spend the money. When they gave him the budget, he's like, I don't know how to. He ended up, again, it was a $1.2 million budget. He still came in $500,000 under.
Yeah. And
so he actually only spent about $700,000 for it.
But you could see he spent more money. Yes. Like, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's different. I think the kind of mind control aspect of the original one that we were talking about, that I don't feel, it's clear as day. They're bleeding from their nose, like something is happening to them.
I love the mark. The mark.
Yes.
The triangular mark was
they just find marks
cool.
now on their bodies, on their body.
And there's
a bunch of stuff that is very different. The aliens almost pixelate the camera at times whenever they're on screen. So there's something happening. I don't know if you noticed that. Whenever in the long version, whenever the aliens pop up, the camera gets a little pixelated to kind of mask the like something is happening with the technology.
And in the UPN version, they changed it from pixelation to just static.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they changed that. That was the other one when they all find the marks on their shoulders, the triangular marks. Also, in the TV aired version, there is a high pitched sound that happens and then it stops. Because there's a point where just suddenly it stops burning. There's this sound that starts, and that's when it starts to hurt, and then the sound ends. You know? So I'm curious whether that is in the actual film and just doesn't translate to people's recorded versions or not.
Possibly.
But again,
I don't know.
UPN did change things. Although it's weird that he would have all of the characters reacting to a sound that the audience doesn't hear.
Yeah.
That's strange to me.
One big plot point that's a big departure from the McPherson tape to Incident in Lake County. So the little girl, Rosie, is obviously communicating and she's being controlled by the aliens.
Yeah, she's being puppeted.
She's constantly talking to them. She's telling them, oh, don't worry, Grandma. Even Grandma sees her husband at one point. So it's very blatant that the aliens, and this does a way better job at showing that the aliens are controlling and manipulating the family in the house. There's one scene that's a little weird, and I know on the UPN version, it's a little more effective than in the feature-length version of Incident in Lake County, where Tommy goes into the bathroom. He goes into the bedroom. He sees the alien. The alien sort of freezes him and makes him forget that happened, it's a little confusing because the screen goes black at one point. So it's like, what did the alien do to him? I mean, it's insinuated that the alien probably is trying to control him. It's showing that the aliens can control them in the house. So,
and that is where UPN ended it.
Well, they ended it with his like Blair Witch Heather Donahue speech of him saying he loves his family. Right?
Yes, but there's the scene. But then the alien comes in and comes at him and freezes him, and it ends there.
It's behind the door.
But
which I vividly remember seeing that in the mockumentary UPN version, where the door opens, he sees it, he kind of freaks out. You see like that creepy shot, and then he freezes.
He kind of drops the camera. Yeah. The alien takes the camera, I think, and turns it back at him. And he's just frozen. And that's where it ends in UPN's version.
And that's a good segue to get to how this version ends, the longer version ends. So that's the original ending on the mockumentary UPN version. Yeah. In the feature-length version of this film, and I know our listeners, you guys are probably so confused because we're talking about like 50 different... This one film has 3 versions. But the way
if you watched them, it makes perfect sense. If you've seen them.
Like, and they're all on YouTube. Yes. So you can watch all of these.
They do drop from time to time. They drop, they go back up and everything. But
you can find
UPN version, actually, I sent that to you because I'd had that.
I watched that last night. Yeah.
I had that on a playlist for a long time, ever since we decided we were going to cover this. And this was like 2 years ago. We wanted to do this. We wanted to do this from the beginning.
Which is great because we're doing it now.
Yeah.
So Incident in Lake County ends with the family playing cards, a little nod to the original film from the 80s. And Rosie is sort of in and out of the room at this point. So she's leaving, coming back and forth. And what ends up happening is the aliens enter the room.
No, the aliens come in and he's broken from the spell, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And the aliens literally walk his mom and sister out.
You're right.
As he's yelling, trying to get them. Don't listen to. And
How could I forget that? Yep. My apologies. We've been covering so many of these movies. I'm getting all the endings confused. You're right. Yes. They do enter. He does notice and starts freaking out as because
they're all sitting at the table again. It's that go fish scene again.
Yeah, it's the go fish scene. And he
just realizes, and then they And he stands across the room yelling, "No, don't go with them. Don't listen." And they just...
Yeah, the UPN ending is far superior. Yeah. It's way eerier than the Go Fish card playing ending. That's basically a remake. Well, you don't even... In the original McPherson tape, you don't even see them react to the alien. They don't even know the aliens are there. In this version, they react. And Tommy's great in that scene. You hear him screaming, and then he just goes silent.
Yep.
And the tape ends. So that's how Incident in Lake County ends, the feature-length version.
It's gone! It's gone!
What?
You guys!
What?
It's gone!
What's gone? What's gone? What do you mean
it's not in the bedroom anymore!
What do you mean it's gone?
I don't know, maybe we didn't kill it!
Now, here's the moment of truth, Manny. Because we've been rambling on about both of these movies. Right, we've been all over the place with these 2 films technically, but one of them has 3 versions, which is quite confusing. So now we're gonna run down. This is where the battle commences, finally, where we're gonna pick a couple of topics here of which one's better. I'm gonna let you start now. Plot. They both have the same plot.
Yes.
But which one executed it better, in your opinion, as a film?
Incident in Lake County.
I agree. Incident in Lake County did a better job.
There's a lot more nuance to it. There's a lot more things actually happening. You know, my issue with the original McPherson tape is just that there's entire sections of them just doing nothing.
Yeah.
They just kind of sit around, you know?
This has a buildup. This has the aliens are fucking with them more. So in this, when compared to
you see it crawl in the window.
Tape. Yeah,
you see it climbing on the roof. It's like it goes in the window, and that's when he goes.
That's a great.
That's
shot.
how the alien gets behind the door.
Yeah,
because it went up and you know.
That's a great little shot where you see the little foot and
the leg
go into the leg go into the window.
I love it.
It's a great scene. I agree. The plot, the layout, the script is better.
Yes.
In the remake It's just
because there is a script.
yeah, there is a script. It's not improv.
Script. There is a script, and they are good actors.
Characters and acting.
Yep.
Incident in Lake County.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Same thing.
Yep.
It's again that one line in the original McPherson tapes where he's like, "You're a part of my family too." Pretty rough. In this, I wouldn't say everyone's fantastic. There's a little overacting and kind of some of the screaming and stuff, but it still feels more genuine. Like you said, Kurt, even though he's an asshole and a little maybe borderline racist, like he's great in this. He's a complete kind of like tough guy piece of shit.
He played he does
a good
also
job.
The original they shot in one night.
Yeah.
This, he said they spent about a week shooting.
And even the mom, to me, in this,
so they redid
she's
scenes.
better.
They did multiple takes. He worked in the cuts.
Yeah, in the original one, the mom is sort of just there.
Yeah.
And very grandma vibes, which, of course, she's a grandma. Yeah. But in the remake, the dynamic works better between her children and her grandchild. Like, the dynamic just feels... She feels like, even though she's not tough, but... She just feels more like a woman that this is her family. She loves them. And she has her own kind of trauma, which is explained more too. You do learn about her alcoholism and her missing her husband that died and stuff like that. And she just wants to have the family be together because she has that whole subplot with the candle, the Thanksgiving candle and lighting it. So I like that more. I just feel like the characters are stronger in Incident in Lake County. The alien effects. Which one do you prefer?
I think they look better in this, but the creep factor of the original it kind of works. I don't know if it works better, but I like it because you see so much less and the roughness of the original film. Like this one, what always bugged me, and even when I watched the original UPN, I remember thinking that scene when he comes out of when the alien comes out from behind the door and it walks toward the camera. I remember watching this and looking at it and saying, why is he fuzzy?
Yeah, it's like it looks like a mascot head. Like
exactly. The texture of the skin was fuzzy, and I remembered, and I'm like, that's like it looks like a plush head, you know. And while they don't look much better, they look worse. The original, like when you look at the actual costumes, it's clearly just three girls in black leotards with an alien masks on, and it's clearly just that. But the way he shot them being so minimally seen made it look more realistic. But the remake, they're more lifelike. Because it's just better effects artists, you know? So it's kind of like when movies started going to DVD and you were watching Friday the 13th on VHS your whole life.
See all the fuck ups and all the
suddenly
shitty
you see it on DVD. It's like, this is too clear. Because they didn't know how to really restore a movie for DVD yet. You know, they were just making everything brighter and it was kind of ruining things. I feel that a little bit here where I feel like just the dirty, grimy nature, not grimy, but the dirty, you know, DIY, you know, badly lit nature of the original really adds to the whole feel of the story and makes it feel more realistic, even though this one is more, you know.
I agree. I think the McPherson tape, he keeps the aliens at a distance.
Yeah, because he knows they look like shit.
Yeah, but that's what makes them, like them being out of focus.
It's the shark in Jaws.
Yeah, like him keeping them way farther away makes them look creepier.
Yeah, 100%.
Whereas in Incident in Lake County, legitimately the alien comes, like you said, comes up to the screen. You can see the like eyeball, like it just looks.
Yeah.
It looks
you can
a little
see the
hokey.
little fuzz on his. You can see that it's fuzzy.
I mean, they look
It
decent.
looks great. I like the way it looks. Yes.
I just think the way he executed the approach to the aliens in the original McPherson tape is better. Here we go now. Next,
I wish the alien had been more fleshy versus
smoother. Yeah, I agree. I don't know why they went like it looks like a big plush, like you said. I don't know why they did that. Creepier / scarier. Which one? This kind of plays into the aliens a little bit too.
Yeah, it's a toss up. I think they're both creepy and scary for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think
Yeah.
they work differently.
It was tough for me to pick two. I'm gonna go, and this is kind of a cop out. I'm going Ty because, like I just said, he keeps the aliens at a distance in the original McPherson tape, but those shots, like you said, the leg entering the bedroom window,
it goes so far.
Like those shots are creepy in a kind of setup way where you're setting up a scare that's going to play off later instead of them in the original. They just show up, you know? So it was tough for me to pick because even though they look like plushy aliens in the remake, there's still certain points where I think if he would have kept them a little farther away, that would have won that round.
Yeah.
And that would have won with the creepier.
The ship looks so much better.
It does.
It looked like it's a ship.
It does.
You know?
It was hard. They both have creepy moments. That original ending in Incident in Lake County is really eerie. Just seeing him frozen, seeing the alien grab the camera and point it at him, that is creepy. But so is the original McPherson tape ending with the family not even knowing that the aliens are in the house while they just play Go Fish. So they both, when it comes to scare creep, I think both are an equal playing ground because what's weak in one can be weak in the other and vice versa. So both have kind of shitty aliens, but it's just the way they're
complement each other.
Yeah, it works well together. Yeah. Now, this is a tough one because Incident in Lake County has two endings, but which one has the better ending? If we're going to go the two endings on Incident in Lake County.
Well, I think the UPN version has the creepiest ending.
Yeah.
You know?
It's hard because this has Incident in Lake County has two endings, so.
Yes.
Technically.
It has the creepiest ending. But the
agree.
McPherson tape hearse, when that alien turns and looks at the camera, it's that 13 Ghosts moment
that shit
of
is
all the
scary,
surgeons turning toward the camera. It's creepy.
I mean, but if you had to pick one, we can't let this one.
The UPN ending. No,
I think Incident in Lake County has a better ending. I even think the remake. I think when they remade the original McPherson tape ending, but they added that little sprinkle of Tommy
better than the original
screaming, "What are you doing?" and the aliens taking them away.
If you were to go 1-to-1, just the movie
better.
versus the movie, forget the UPN. He improved his own ending.
Yeah, there's more to it. It doesn't just end with the alien looking, even though it's a great shot, but there's more to it. It's more intense, I think, just hearing his voice, hearing Tommy's voice screaming. Now, the last one here, the big one. Which one's better overall?
Oh, yeah, Incident in Lake County.
Incident in Lake County. This is one of those, this is where the remake is better than the original.
You know what? Even from it's I can even look at it as a filmmaker myself, where I say, if somebody were to give me $1 million to remake my first movie, our first movie. If someone were to say, guys, $1.2 million, you want to remake Blood Slaughter Massacre? I think we'd both jump at the chance to do it.
Of course.
To just fix everything that we didn't do right the first time because we loved that story.
Yeah.
We put a lot into it, and just being inexperienced caused a lot. So somebody were to say, well, we would make the same movie, but better. We'd fix it all. And if people said, well, we like the remake better. Yes, that's the point. That's why we did it again.
That's why we did it.
And I think that this is the same situation where he was given an opportunity to redo what his own passion project. And he said, fine, I'm just going to fix everything.
Yeah.
Now, if you like so if the remake is better, that's the point. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it.
I'm right there with you. Yeah.
This isn't Funny Games over here where he made two equally amazing films. No. Michael Haneke knew what he was doing when he made the first one. The second one was just indulgent.
I just think that Incident in Lake County has, obviously it's longer when you watch the feature-length version, not the UPN version. There's more to it. And I'll say, even as someone that loves this type of shit and watched the original broadcast, the UPN version, the extended version, finally watching the long feature-length version, there is something inspiring about it. that the fact that he was able to go back,
I mean,
you know, and no, it is, and it's an inspiration. I will say, you know, I love found footage. I'm a huge found footage enthusiast. I love that genre.
we wanted to do it.
I mean, I may
do
be
you
doing it one
remember
day,
that?
hopefully.
Do you even remember that?
Yes, I remember.
We all watched this together too. We
Won't get into it here, but
yeah, but we wanted to remake
Yeah.
this ourselves. I remember we even planned a weekend. We said,
Yeah.
"Oh, my mother's going away. We're
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
spend.
yeah.
We're going to shoot it." And we started mapping things out for the certain. We could see the alien in this window,
it's
and
a-
we could. But
it's
we
an
didn't know how to make a
inspiration.
movie, so
It's-
it never
yeah.
happened.
It's an inspiration. It's cool to see a guy who made a movie for nothing
Yeah,
and then get a
Yep.
budget, go back, even though he ate a lot of shit because he dealt with so much bullshit with both projects.
Yes.
It wasn't even like one was successful and one wasn't. He had shit with both of them.
they gave him $1 million to remake it, and still
had fucking problems.
Yep.
So it's just inspirational to me in the sense that this guy, regardless, we're here talking about it. Both movies have a cult following. I mean, they're lesser known. I wouldn't say, you know, everyone knows these films. There's probably a lot of listeners that haven't seen any of these versions of these films, and I definitely recommend going out of your way and checking them out. Good thing, Incident in Lake County, great Thanksgiving film. No one ever mentions it in their Thanksgiving horror films every year. It is set on Thanksgiving night. You see the turkey on the table several times. It is a Thanksgiving film.
It was mentioned. It is in the found. I happen to see it in the IMDb notes too. It is
Okay.
mentioned in the found footage documentary.
I
That's
haven't
on
seen
Shudder.
that yet.
Yeah, and they do mention in that as this being the first found footage film. And it also says in these notes that Darcy told Joe Bob, and she had a list of Thanksgiving films that he forgot about, and this is one of them.
I mean,
So
they should screen it.
Darcy name dropped it. Yes.
I mean, it's a great movie, man. They're both great. In reality, they're both great. Incident in Lake County is the better film, in our opinion, obviously. But the McPherson Tape has a lot to offer as well. And I'd say check them both out after Thanksgiving dinner this year. After you're all full on the couch, pop one of them on. Probably Incident in Lake County because it's set on Thanksgiving. But fuck it, watch the McPherson Tape right after.
Why not?
Both
Pretend
work.
it's Thanksgiving.
Pretend it's Thanksgiving. Close enough. It's a family gathering. I'm sure everyone was stressed before they got there.
It's an hour, but the two of them together is 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Watch
And
two movies in under 3 hours.
It's totally worth it. You know what? Leftovers. Grab your leftovers, sit there, watch both of these. Perfect film for your Thanksgiving evening.
This is a must watch for fans of found footage because this is what started it. This is literally what started it.
I agree.
That's it. You want the origin? This is it.
My name is Thomas McPherson. We were attacked by aliens.
So that was the McPherson Tape versus Alien Abduction Incident in Lake County. Be sure to subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, @Haunted Hangover. Head over to hauntedhangover.com, where you can find links to everything, including our Patreon page, where you can gain early access to episode and bonus content, including bonus shows, bonus podcast.
Extra stuff. And while you're there, wherever you're listening to us, rate and review us and let us know what you think about it, even if you didn't like it. Let us know wherever you're listening, whether it be on this planet or another.
And as always, remember, the best cure for a hangover is Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Watch out for aliens. Well, no, there's one right there.